Welcome back. Today is Saturday, May the 4th, 2019. May the 4th be with you today. And I am going to do a 5-part series on what disease I have. It is National Vasculitis Awareness Month, and so I'm going to share 5 different vlogs talking about this disease. So this week I've decided I'm going to kind of give the story of what happened to me and kind of the background on that. I've done some vlogs talking a little bit about it, but it's been mixed with some other things. And so I am going to share what happened to me. Back last year in 2018, around Halloween time, I started feeling kind of bad. I had like a respiratory infection, I thought. I had a cough, and I thought maybe, might have been my asthma. I wasn't really sure. And I just felt kind of really bad. And so after about a week, I decided I needed to go to the doctor. So I went ahead and went to the doctor, and she did some blood work and checked me, and I had fluid behind my ears. And she said that she thought I had the respiratory infection that was going around. So she gave me a sinus cocktail shot and told me to come back in 2 weeks if I wasn't any better. Well, I continued to feel worse. And I also developed on my leg, my right leg, I developed a sore. I didn't really know what it was. I thought maybe I had a boil, and it got bigger and it was black. It was really, really gross, actually. I have scars on my legs. I ended up with 3 on my right leg, 1 on my left leg. And then I started throwing up about every single day. I didn't have much of an appetite. And when I ate, it felt like the food was stuck in my chest right there. So I didn't really want to eat much because it hurt. Plus, I wasn't hungry. And so 2 weeks after the first time I went would have been Thanksgiving Day. So Monday before Thanksgiving, I decided I'd go ahead and go back to the doctor to be checked because I knew something was wrong. I should have been better, So I went ahead and went in, and she did some more blood work, said my white cell count was high and that she thought I had some sort of infection. She didn't really know what was going on for sure because she couldn't find anything. And so she put me on amoxicillin for 10 days, 3 times a day. So I went immediately and filled the prescription, started taking it that night. I worked every day up to that point, and every day when I get off work, I would be so tired I could hardly do anything. I could barely cook dinner and clean up. So Thanksgiving, we always do our Thanksgiving with our friends Kim and Chad, and I really felt bad that morning. I actually threw up, and my husband said, "Oh, let's not go." And I said, "No, I want to go because I was looking forward to it. Because 1, I love spending time with them, and number 2, I love turkey, and I only get turkey usually once a year." So we went ahead and went. I had made a casserole and a pie, and we went, and I barely ate anything. Eating was awful. And so we went outside for a while, and they messed with the drone, and then I came back in, and then they came in, and I told Keith, I said, "I'm ready to go home." And we'd been there maybe 2 or 3 hours, and they only live about 5 minutes away from us. So we came home, and I laid down in my recliner, and I said, I just don't feel good. So the next day, which was Black Friday, I wanted to go shopping, but I felt so bad I knew I couldn't. So I actually ordered a couple things online, and then one thing Kim went and got for me because she was going out anyways. So that night, Keith was gone. He had gone to, he plays Dungeons and Dragons, and he'd gone to interview for a position as a game master. I think that's what it's called. Anyhow, he wasn't home, and I remember I was laying on the couch talking to my friend Tori about the pies I had made, or the pie I had made. She wanted the recipe. And so we were talking about that, and I was telling her I just felt really, really bad. And I remember laying there thinking, I probably need to call an ambulance because I felt that bad. And I thought, there's something wrong because it's been 5 days. I've been on an antibiotic. I should be better, and I'm not. So I went ahead and went to bed about 9 o'clock, And when the next morning when I got up, I told Keith, I said, "You've got to take me to the emergency room. There's something seriously wrong with me." So I went ahead and took a shower, got dressed, and we headed up to the emergency room. Once we got there, we were taken back to a room right away. And I figured they were probably just going to give me like a Z-Pack, something stronger than amoxicillin, send me on my merry way. And so we went back. They did a whole bunch of blood work. And he come back in. He said, "Mrs. Butler, you are going to have to be admitted during kidney failure." Well, had I not been sitting up on that table, I would have fell over because I had no idea. I knew I was sick, but I didn't think it was anything like that. So they admitted me to the hospital Saturday afternoon, and Sunday they did a test on me, a barium test to see why I was having trouble swallowing, and they never could figure out what was wrong. And it's weird, when after I took that test, that sensation went away. So I don't know if there's something maybe lodged. I really don't know what happened, but that went away. The next morning, on Monday morning, they started doing a bunch of tests. I had CAT scans, I had MRIs, I had kidney biopsy, I had x-rays done, and that they came in Monday and told me they thought I had lupus, but they weren't sure. They were waiting for the results from the kidney biopsy. It's like, okay, I know what lupus is. I've heard of it. I can deal with that. That's okay. It's treatable, whatever. And so that night I took a shower, and I had brushed my teeth, and I used close-up toothpaste, which is red. And I remember I had to spit, and I spit in the shower, and it was red, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought, well, it's probably just my toothpaste. And then I noticed I started coughing up blood, and so I thought, well, that's not a good sign. And so the next morning they came in and told me that I have Wegener's Gramulatosis or GPA vasculitis, and that it affected my kidneys and it was affecting my lungs. And they were going to transfer me to Baptist East, and I was at Baptist DeSoto, which is about 15 minutes from where I live. And I had to go to Baptist East, which is in Memphis, because they needed to give me what's called plasmapheresis, and that was the only hospital in the area that had that. So they sent me up there in an ambulance. Second time I rode an ambulance, first time as a patient. And when they got me there, they put me in the oncology ICU. And a doctor came in that night, and on this side, he put a temporary vas cath in me. They do not put you to sleep to do that. They did that right there in the ICU room, and they numb you, but I could feel it. I would maybe think that's probably what a C-section felt like. I could feel it. I could feel the scraping on my bones, but it didn't hurt. And the next morning, they started my plasmapheresis. Now, I did 6 rounds of plasmapheresis, and what they do is they removed 3 units of plasma from me and replaced it with 3 units of donor plasma. And then, like I said, I had 3 rounds of that, or 6 rounds of that, and I also had to have 3 blood transfusions in the hospital. And I joked when I got out of the hospital and told my husband I was a new man or a new woman. I didn't know. 18 units of plasma and 3 units of blood. Which, little sidebar, I think it's very important that you donate. I've always taken for granted. I haven't donated blood in a long time because they hurt me the last time I did it. And now I'll never be able to donate because of all my health issues. But, people donated and they saved my life. I would have died. It's so hard for me to talk about. So they started me on the plasmapheresis. I went up there. They started that on Wednesday. They did started me on dialysis. And while I was in ICU, they came up there and did the dialysis in the room. The plasmapheresis took 3 hours. The dialysis took 4 hours. They ended up treating the lesions on my leg, which I found out later are a symptom of Wegener. Some people get that so I kind of know what to look for as far as that goes. So they started me on prednisone. Started me on 60 milligrams of prednisone, and normally prednisone makes me very aggressive, and this time it made me extremely weepy, which I'm sure was a combination of prednisone and the fact that my life was falling apart and I thought I was going to die. So they put me on Prozac. They put me on oxygen. I was on oxygen 24 hours a day. I had to have x-rays done every morning. Because of the prednisone, I had to take insulin. I had to take insulin for about a month. Let's see, they started me on blood pressure medicine. I was not on any sort of blood pressure medicine. I'm on 3 different medicines now. And part of the reason I'm on the 3 medicines is that they have to be really careful what they prescribe me because of my kidneys. Even though I'm no longer on dialysis, I still am, I would say, in kidney failure. My creatinine levels are still high. Not as high as they were, but definitely high. I became anemic. I couldn't sleep. They gave me melatonin, which helped the first night, and after that, it didn't matter. I could take 9 milligrams and not do a thing to me. And it used to be if I took 3 milligrams, I would be groggy for 2 days. Benadryl doesn't make me sleep anymore. I'm actually on a sleeping medicine called trazodone, which is also an anti-anxiety medication, which works out great because it helps me deal with the anxiety on that end too. Because of my kidneys, I can't take Lunestra or Ambien or anything like that. So I was on a heart monitor because they wanted to check my heart. I have a heart murmur I was born with. Turns out I have what's called a bundle branch blockage. It's something I was born with. It's, nothing serious. It's just, a little hiccup. But when I was in the hospital, my EKG was abnormal, and so they found out that was what it was. Then, let's see, what else? I stayed in ICU for 7 days, and then I was transferred to a regular room. I had my first chemo treatment in the hospital. I had the first 3 chemos, I had 2 weeks apart, and then after that, I went to 3 weeks apart. But I eventually got off the oxygen as my lungs were healing. I finally got the heart monitor taken off, which was nice because every time I moved wrong or exerted myself, just getting up and moving was very tiresome for me. It would cause the monitor to go off, and it was just a real pain. But this disease has wreaked havoc on me. It's not curable. There's no known cause. Therefore, there's no cure. It's treatable, but it's not curable. They don't know for sure how I got it. There's a chance that it's a hereditary thing, but I have very limited knowledge on my biological family, so I don't really know. It could be that my respiratory infection I started out with turned into this and mutated. They don't know. What it happens, though, with an autoimmune disease is that your healthy cells attack, or what fights off infection attacks your healthy cells. They think my healthy cells are infection, whether or not. And so that's why I have to be on prednisone and chemo the rest of my life, is to keep it suppressed. I have to suppress my immune system, which I will talk about in my next vlog. So anyways, I spent another 7 days in a regular room, so I was in the hospital for 17 days. And, it just upset my whole world. But I'm a survivor and I'm a fighter, and I'm not going to go down without a fight. This disease will probably eventually kill me, but it's not going to kill me today, which I think I've shared before. I am in remission, which is definitely a praise, because most people take a year or 2 from what I've read, and I went into remission in 4 months. I am not healthy. I am not able to work. I tire extremely fast, which I'll talk about that in another vlog. But that's about it. I just wanted to kind of share my experience with Wegener's, and like I said, it's a form of vasculitis. and kind of get the word out about that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to do a 5-part series on vasculitis. Next week, I am going to talk about dialysis, and the following week, I am going to talk about chemotherapy and prednisone. The week after that, I'm going to talk about how it's affected my life, and the last week, I'm going to share the Spoonies theory, so you guys can have an understanding what it's like to have a chronic illness. I think that's all for now. I appreciate you guys listening. I know this little vlog was kind of long. I hope you guys have a great day, and remember, not every day is good, but there's always something good in every day, and I'll see you next time.